In Greek mythology, there is a particularly unique concept, Katabasis, the journey into the world of the dead. Unlike ordinary adventure stories, Katabasis symbolizes confronting the most terrifying things, the secrets that humans often avoid. It is about stepping into darkness to seek light, a journey that challenges not only the body, but also the spirit. And it is through this that Greek mythology conveys lessons about the meaning of life, death, and rebirth. Welcome to Greek mythology, where ancient legends meet modern curiosity. Today we're embarking on a journey like no other, a descent into the underworld, Katabasis, the land of shadows and forgotten souls. Ready to uncover the mysteries hidden deep below? Subscribe now and hit the bell so you don't miss this dive into one of mythology's most haunting tales. Katabasis is not just a simple act, but a powerful symbol in Greek culture. When a hero descends into the underworld, they do not only face spirits, but also confront their own selves. This makes Katabasis one of the most important motifs in Greek mythology. Take, for instance, Orpheus, the genius musician who ventured into the underworld to save his wife, Eurydice. Orpheus used his music to soothe Hades and Persephone, the two gods ruling the underworld. But just as he was about to escape, Orpheus looked back at his wife, breaking the agreement, and lost Eurydice forever. This is a lesson about temptation and the consequences of failing to control oneself. Heracles, in another journey, descended into the underworld to capture Cerberus, the three-headed dog guarding the gates of Hades. His journey was not just a test of strength, but also a trial of courage and wisdom. Though each character had a different reason to enter the underworld, all of them had to face challenges that not only demonstrated their strength, but also reflected their inner selves. But why is Katabasis so important? In the ancient Greek world, the underworld was not merely the place of the dead. It was where the lessons that humans needed to grow were stored. Katabasis is the journey to uncover hidden truths, a symbol of renewal and rebirth. Imagine this in our own lives. To overcome a challenge, we often have to face our greatest fears. This is not just a story from mythology, it is also how we confront hardships in everyday life. Olympian view. The ancient Greek concept of the afterlife, expanded. The ancient Greeks had a unique and, to be honest, rather bleak perspective on the afterlife. This perspective is often referred to as the Olympian view, the viewpoint of the gods on Mount Olympus regarding life after death. According to Homer and Hesiod, after death, a person's soul departs from the body and enters a shadowy world where all sensations and joys vanish. It is a realm so grim that even the greatest heroes, like Achilles, regret their deaths. Achilles, once the mightiest hero of Greece, tells Odysseus that he would rather be a poor farmer laboring on earth than a king of the dead. This story raises an important question. How can humans find meaning in life if death is meaningless? For the ancient Greeks, the answer lay in living a life of honor and leaving a mark on history, because the afterlife offered no consolation. Another example of this perspective is the punishment of those who committed grave sins in Greek mythology. Tantalus, who served his own son as food to the gods, was punished to stand in a pool of water he could never drink and beneath fruit he could never eat. Similarly, Sisyphus, who cheated death, was condemned to endlessly roll a boulder up a hill, only for it to roll back down each time he neared the summit. These stories are not merely cautionary tales, they reflect how the Greeks viewed responsibility and consequences. Although the gods often seemed unjust and cruel, Greek mythology emphasized that every action carries consequences, a lesson that remains relevant in the modern world. But not all souls were treated harshly. A select few were rewarded with a blissful existence in Elysium, the Greek version of paradise. However, this honor was reserved for a privileged few, typically heroes or individuals favored by the gods. So, Why are these stories significant? They not only explain how the ancient Greeks understood death, but also illustrate how they found meaning in life. For them, living a life of glory was not just a goal, but the only way to transcend the meaninglessness of death. The Olympian view of the afterlife is more than just mythology. It was a way for the Greeks to confront their own existence. It serves as a reminder that regardless of the era we live in, the question of life's meaning is always present. The journey of Odysseus, a timeless adventure, expanded. In Homer's epic, The Odyssey, Odysseus's journey to the underworld is not merely a quest for answers. It is a blood-soaked, fear-filled expedition that symbolizes facing the darkest recesses of the human soul. But to understand this adventure, we must first examine the context. Odysseus is a man caught between the curse of Poseidon and his unwavering desire to return to his family. His 20-year journey home is not just a story of loyalty. It is a lesson in how humans confront challenges to grow and evolve. On his way back to Ithaca, Odysseus encounters the goddess Circe, a character as dangerous as she is enchanting, with the power to transform men into animals. Recognizing Odysseus' intelligence, Circe does not harm him. Instead, she aids him in preparing for his descent into the underworld. Her first instruction is for Odysseus to make sacrifices, a symbolic act that bridges the worlds of the living and the dead. This ritual underscores the deep interconnection between these two realms in Greek thought. When Odysseus reaches the western shore, a place believed to be the boundary between the world of the living and the dead, he begins the sacred ritual. In the suffocating darkness, he digs a trench and pours sacrificial blood into it. This act summons the souls of the dead from the underworld. The scene is haunting, a reminder that the world of the dead is never truly separate from that of the living. It lurks just beneath the surface, waiting to be acknowledged. As the blood seeps into the earth, the souls begin to emerge. Desperate and ravenous, they swarm around Odysseus, a physical manifestation of his deepest fears. Armed with a sword, Odysseus fends them off, holding them at bay until the one soul he seeks appears, Tiresias, the blind prophet. This moment is fraught with tension as the spirits claw and wail for the blood that allows them to briefly reclaim a semblance of life. Tiresias, though blind in life, possesses unparalleled vision in death. His words to Odysseus are both a warning and a guide. He foretells that the journey ahead will be riddled with peril, but assures Odysseus that he will ultimately return to Ithaca, provided he can master his desires and keep his crew from succumbing to temptation. Tiresias also reveals a final truth. Even after Odysseus returns home, his journey will not be over. To truly find peace, he must embark on another quest of atonement, traveling to distant lands with his oar to make amends with Poseidon. This chapter of Odysseus's journey is not only a lesson in wisdom, but also a profound reminder that to move forward, one must first confront the past. The underworld is not merely a physical location. It is a symbol of memory, mistakes, and the opportunity for redemption. Odysseus's descent teaches us that personal growth often requires us to venture into our own underworlds, to face our fears, reconcile our regrets, and emerge stronger on the other side. Plato and the myth of a new perspective on the afterlife. In 375 BCE, the Greek philosopher Plato wrote one of his most famous works, The Republic. Within this groundbreaking exploration of an ideal society, Plato wove a unique and profound tale about life after death. Known as the myth of this story is not merely an account of a descent into the underworld, but a profound lesson on morality, responsibility, and the concept of rebirth. The story begins with a a courageous warrior who fell in battle. After lying lifeless on a funeral pyre for 12 days, his body was prepared for cremation. But suddenly, awoke and declared, "I have seen the afterlife, and I have returned to tell you." Not only had come back to life, but he brought with him an extraordinary tale of what lies beyond death. Recounted being taken to a vast plain where souls were judged based on their deeds in life. The virtuous were sent to heaven to enjoy their rewards, while the wicked were cast into hell to suffer punishments tenfold the weight of their sins. Each soul endured a cycle of 1,000 years before being given the chance to reincarnate. What sets Er's account apart is the concept of conscious reincarnation. After completing their cycle, each soul is granted the right to choose a new life. This decision, informed by the lessons learned in their past lives, determines their fate in the next. Some souls chose to become powerful kings, while others opted for humble lives as farmers. However, not all were wise enough to make the right choice. Plato used this story to emphasize a critical lesson. Our choices shape our destiny. Foolish souls driven by ambition or desire often make poor decisions when selecting their next life, leading to greater suffering. Meanwhile, the wise souls, having learned from their past experiences, choose paths that bring happiness and peace. In the myth, observed that even the gods did not interfere with these choices. Instead, the responsibility rested entirely on the individual soul. This was a profound statement about free will and the autonomy of human beings in shaping their future. Concluded his tale with a powerful message. Life is not just a series of meaningless events. Our actions in this life carry profound significance, not just for the present, but for the lives to come. Plato used the myth of to encourage individuals to live morally, not out of fear, but through an understanding of the far-reaching consequences of their decisions. The myth also introduced the idea. This perspective offered hope and purpose, suggesting that life, though finite, is an integral part of a larger, eternal cycle. Er's tale is more than a myth. It is a philosophical reflection, a reminder that our lives, though fleeting, are imbued with meaning. Every choice, every action, reverberates through time, shaping not only our current reality, but also the unseen dimensions of existence. Through this lens, Plato invites us to live with greater awareness and accountability. For Plato, the myth of is not merely a story, it is a symbol of his philosophy, a beacon of hope, and a call to responsibility. We do not live only for the present, but for all that lies beyond our immediate perception. And with every action, every decision, we are writing the story of our own rebirth. Katabasis in modern culture, the timeless journey through darkness. We have explored Katabasis, the journey into the underworld, in Greek mythology and Plato's philosophy. But is this theme still relevant in the modern era? The answer is a resounding yes. From films like Star Wars and The Lord of the Rings to Harry Potter, the idea of confronting inner darkness to find light remains one of the most compelling narratives of our time. Luke Skywalker must confront Darth Vader, the father he fears and resents. Harry Potter ventures into the Forbidden Forest, accepting death to save the wizarding world. These stories are not just entertaining, they teach us that only by facing our deepest fears can we grow and find rebirth. Katabasis is not merely a personal journey, it is a cultural symbol, a metaphor for growth. Regardless of the era, we all have our own underworld to face, whether it's loss, failure, or fears we dare not confront. What matters most, as with Odysseus and other heroes, is that we possess the ability to emerge stronger on the other side. Mythology, philosophy, and modern culture are more than just tales retold. They serve as reminders that within each of us lies a hero waiting to rise above the darkness.